Good morning, everybody. Hope last night was a good one for you. It was here in Wichita. Cool, 72, 73 degrees. Humidity to match. We've got one more day of this cool weather. Then it's supposed to be back to 100 come this weekend. The moisture is welcomed. Kansas is pretty green. The drought is behind us, except for a couple of northwestern Kansas counties. And it certainly is summer. 100-degree temperatures are the norm here in July. Nothing unusual about that. Today's really a very interesting day. China, I mean, they've named everybody. If you're a large institution, you can't go short. If you're a large shareholder in a particular company, you can't sell your stock. Pension plans can't dump. Chinese banks are buying equities. They're looking, George Soros has been named as the person behind all of this selling, to put a name. This George Soros guy gets around, doesn't he? They'll look for anybody that has sold stock or has gone short, and the state will deem whether it was malicious short selling or not. Now, one of the things that we're going to see come out of this is if China's successful through these measures in stopping selling, do you think that the EU and the United States might take the same approach if the selling really starts in the United States? I mean, these government control, government interference, I mean, it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. G20 are all on the same page, and if China achieves some success from this, then don't think that we might get a plunge protection team plus in the United States if the selling starts to go. China's economic situation has not turned around and had improved. The United States economic situation, well, it appears that growth is coming back. It's not the 3 to 4% growth that was forecasted. So right now, the United States is going to be lucky to achieve 1.5% growth for 2015. So all of our pundits will be trying to figure out if we're going to get 2.5%, 3% growth come third quarter, fourth quarter of this year. The Fed has said that it's on track to raise interest rates sometime this fall. They didn't change that in the FOMC minutes, but again, I think it's just really difficult to see how they're going to be able to raise interest rates and not kill the stock market, which is their one economic bright spot. It's come at the cost of at least $2 trillion. So where are we as far as the market is concerned? We've got a composite high volume number at 127.09. If we blended these two, 7.5 down to 5, so that would put us at about 6. So volume at 06, most recent in the market's memory. Volume at 18.5. And I think these two volume nodes will contain the market. The auctions have taken place so far at 6 to 7, so probably have an average price of 6.5 or 7. And there's a lot of incentive for the primary dealers to close today's market at 6.5 or higher. So when the stock markets quit rallying, as they might, and I think pretty good resistance at 75 to 80, I still see the stock market in a trading range. I think at that point, if we can make the assessment, then we'll start looking to add to length or to at least get long. So looking at just structure, the best buy is probably in this 21 to 17 area. Don't know if we can get there. We have the breakout at 24, so we're going to put our first buy 21 to 25, and then 13 to 17. And the key will come from the number 3 panel on our F4 screen. And right now we're at 30.5. The London low was 27. So the issue is, are we sellers at 31? Are we sellers at 03? Are we sellers at 07? So I think the best way to handle that is just self-failure to take out 127, which could hold as resistance to 127.04. Then 7 to 11. Okay, today's news. Jobless claims, 276. It's the only piece of hard news that we have coming up. There is a Fed governor speaking, and then we have the Bloomberg Comfort Index that nobody will pay any attention to. The natural gas up 86B, and no one will pay any attention to that except for natural gas. So jobless claims is the first piece of news that we'll have. Direction of the E-mini, I think, is paramount to what happens in the financials. Looking for a place to buy it before the auction. Can get short to see how low the market can go. Market is pointed lower off the opening. Okay, the knob spread came in quite a bit overnight. Like 14-30 seconds. That's a pretty big move. But it is the 30-year auction, and they're not going to kill or crash the 30-year without a big piece of news. So I think at some point we're going to find buyers in the 30-year, and the 30-year would be the futures contract of choice. So we got the breakout at 52.04. Last rotate down 2 days ago was 52.20. Here we are at 27, so a 21 to 25. Go a little bit lower. Pretty aggressive. Then a 5 to 9 for buy 2, playing against this breakout. On the sell side, 7 to 11. Then 19 to 23. Might take a 29 to get into. Just depends on what happens to the E-mini off the opening. Okay, gold again is very, very quiet overnight. Not a whole lot of action. Some articles out that the Chinese weren't behind the selling the other day. And I mean, you never know. They don't disclose who it is. If it does come out, it usually is 2 to 3 months after the fact. So we were rejecting prices at 65. Last night we wanted to get short at 63, 65. And that's held up so far. We put a question mark by 55. We were hoping to buy 50s. So I think first buys in this 55, 57 area. 50 to 52 for buy 2. Make it 64, 66, sell 1. And then 69, 71, sell 2. I'd see a trading range until the Greek issue is resolved. More articles out today on the most logical outcome now is Greek exit. And I think if the EU and ECB could find a way to do that over 5 to 10 years, I think they jump on it. And I think if Greece could see a way where they just not total economic collapse off of this deal, but get out of the euro over 5 to 10 years, I think they'd take the deal too. Do it on one day, one overnight, and one swell foop. I don't think anybody's too interested in that because of what would happen to the top 50 banks that own all of PIG's paper. Okay, we did get above 111. We had our sells yesterday basically were 111 and then 111.40 to 50, and the high was just underneath that at 35. So we almost made it to our second sell zone. Our buys were basically at 110.50, which we did get to. And those numbers still look pretty good. So 40 to 50 by 1, that's where support is. We'll make it 15 to 25 by 2, let them get stops below 25. The overnight session low, London's high was 111.09, so we'll make 111 plus or minus 5, sell 1, and then 25 to 35, sell 2. And we'll just pick up where existing support and resistance do live. I press it. No news really out of Europe. The discussions continue. Looks like Greece resigned themselves to getting any kind of signing any kind of paper they can to get some money out of the EU right now. EU came out yesterday and said should have taken the previous deal. Much better than the new one's going to be. But the Greek retirement system, the Greek support, I think 75% of Greece's government expenditures go for pensions. Think about where the world is headed on the socialistic model, socialism, where it takes you. And then at some point the producers just say, screw it, I can make more money by not working, or they leave the country. And that's where we find ourselves today. Okay, 53.50 looks like pretty stout resistance, so 53 1/4, 53.50, that's where resistance is sell 1. 75 to the buck, sell 2. On the buy side, last rotation down was 52.50, so 52 1/4, 52.50, buy 1. I think we're in a trading range. We reject. We can't get through 53.50. Definitely want to be short. Play from that side. And then 51.75, 52 for buy 2. Some of the selling when Greece, off the Greek referendum, was based on losing Greek demand for petroleum products and crude oil. Looks like Greece is going to have some money to buy crude oil and the rest of it, so crude could be up off of that. Kind of a stretch if you ask me, but that's some of the news articles out there. Okay, the E-mini. One of the things that's really hard to get a handle on and to grasp are trading range markets, because things look black as can be when the market is going into support, and things look as good as they can be when it goes into resistance. So we've got this 75 to 80 resistance, and we basically have 40 as support. And look at these reversals that we're getting. Up here, market goes all the way down, opens on a low, rallies up, comes up, things look great, stalls. Next day after that, slams. But look at it, we got a buyer at 40, we got a seller at 70, 75, maybe as high as 80. Definitely 70 to 75, and that's where we find ourselves right now. So look at the magnitude of these moves and the gyrations, and what has changed. Well, the Greek problem has not been solved. China's markets have definitely rallied, but the coercion that it took to get them to rally, nobody's allowed to sell a stock. Shut down trading at one point on at least 40% of their stocks, and it could have been more. So the economy, the economic news, and the rest of it that has brought in selling and bubble bursting. And you know, I think one of China's markets, their over-the-counter market, is up 100% for the year. So some selling should be expected. But here we have China putting their best foot forward, threatening everybody, whether they be Chinese citizens or not. Entities offshore. I mean, that shows you the true nature of that regime. It is not communism light. So we're in a trading range, and I don't think that the conditions have materially changed. So Best selling is going to come into 75. Best buying is going to be below 40, and we find ourselves at 60. So I do think we'll rally this morning. The question is how far will it go? Yesterday, the Dow was off 262 points. So we've got a lot of swings. We got a lot of potential in range, and you can just see that we have multiple. We've got 1, 2, 3 distributions up right now. So where is the break in the market? Well, it's at 65. Then it's at 75. So resistance is 65 to 75, getting stops above the overnight session high. 75, I'm really comfortable with that sell. So we'll put 64, 66 because it is resistance, and the idea that we'll get stops above the overnight session high. Sell 1, maybe stops above that. And then I'm going to jump our next sell up to 74, 76. And we do have the spill in Asia at 68. We'll put a question mark there. So 65 to 75 is resistance. Where might we be buyers? Well, we're at 60. We had the breakout at 55. Getting long early in the session. This 55 area, give or take, is going to be buy 1. Would rather do it against the London low down here in this 50-52 area. So 50-52 would be buy 2. The basis of this rally is probably short covering, and it certainly is in China. Always better to have the basis of a rally based on solid economic news. Short covering rallies in the E-mini typically are 30 to 40 points. So you got the overnight session low, you add 40 points to it, that puts you into that 75 area. So we got a shot to get up there today. And I think that would represent the best sell. 2055 is very aggressive on the buy side. It's where support is. It's where the breakout is from the London high. 50 to 52 is leaning against a round number. Okay, take probably 20 minutes to get everything up and posted and done. I'm going to get busy on that. I will see you as soon as possible.